Sharp, sharp, as you say in South Africa.
One second. Sorry, it's all dusty here, and my screen was just a mess. There we go. But okay. There you go.
Dale, to start off with, would like to ask your thoughts on the Sri Lanka South Africa game. You guys have been, involved in some intense games over the years. Again, a World Cup, it went to the last over. What's your thoughts? And on a Sri Lankan perspective, where do you think they got things wrong?
Jeepers. I actually thought Sri Lanka had it good. I thought South Africa got things wrong, and when I was going down, I was going to do the post match. I was actually prepping for a loss, but I was hoping that David Miller would hit. I said he needed to hit 3 boundaries or 2 sixes. Like that's what I was thinking. He needed to hit 4-4-4 or 6-4-4 or something like that. But he went 6-6, and then that was the end of the game. But I mean, I think from South Africa's point of view, I thought they missed the opportunity to hit boundaries in the middle overs. Whereas Sri Lanka, on the other hand, they just kept coming. Every new batter that came in, like within his first 3 balls, he almost hit a boundary. They were either going for it, or I use the word slogging, but they were attempting to hit boundaries was the difference. Whereas South Africa's guys came in, they were a little bit more tentative, and that's why you saw Sri Lanka end up getting bowled out or 9 down. Whereas South Africa to get over the line with David being just good, smart hitting at the end.
This tournament, Dale, we've seen lots of Sri Lankan pace bowlers. You're one of the greats of the game, and looking at all these guys like Lyle Kumara, Dushman Chamira, and Chamir Karunaratne, how do you sort of assess them, and what has sort of good things that you've seen from them, if you can elaborate?
So the best thing so far is that I like the aggression. I like that they've got a little bit of aggression about them. Sri Lanka is not known for its fast bowlers to have like that kind of like aggression. Like whenever I played against Sri Lanka, there was some good fast bowlers. Don't get me wrong, Malinga was amazing, but it wasn't like he was the most aggressive man in the world. It's nice to see a little bit of mongrel inside those bowlers, and they're bowling 145 k's an hour, which is quick. That's also good. I think where they went wrong was that their lengths were just wrong. The other night when they played against Australia, they were too full, and then they bowled beautifully. And so in the start they were too full. And then in the back end of the innings they bowled beautifully and they dragged their length back. And then against South Africa, it was switched the other way. Then at the start against South Africa, their lengths were really good, and then the back end they were too full. So it like kind of switched. And that's just that's experience for you. You just you've got to play more and more and more at the highest level. Obviously they are playing at the highest level, but you just got to play more frequently. So I think the Sri Lankan Premier League, the Lanka Premier League, that kind of stuff, more 2020s, just to become accustomed to situations, finding yourself in situations, then you can get yourself out of it. But I like the way that Kumara go about it. Chamira is more like round arm, he can swing it. Kumara is like hit the deck. He'll be a really good bowler in like South Africa, where there's a little bit of something off the deck where you can run in and he can hit the deck hard on a good 6 to 7 meter length and find the edge, whether you don't know whether to go back or full. So yeah, it's good. I felt really bad for him though, just running into a guy like David Miller in the last over is never going to be easy.
Then I'd like to go back to all the way to 2006. Your first overseas test tour was to Sri Lanka. The SSC test match, 6-24 partnership game.
Love that game. Thank you for reminding me so early in the morning now that I have to live with it.
Lots of things were happening in that game for a rookie who had just broken into Test cricket and, going on his first tour. What was that experience like?
So, I toured Sri Lanka before with the South African A side, and I loved it. I think Sri Lanka's like between Sri Lanka and West Indies, I can't quite make up my mind which is my favorite place to tour, to be honest with you. Like, they're both like right there. From a cricket perspective, they're both very difficult to play cricket. Like, West Indies pitches, not the easiest, and Sri Lankan pitches for seamers are not the easiest at all. And yeah, that place was just, it was amazing because the first test match, I actually got Kumar Sangakkara out. I bowled him off a no ball, and I had him dropped at point maybe 2 balls earlier. And, Sanga went on to make 300 or 270 or something like that. And then Mahela, he just went about his business and batted for 2 days and made almost 400. So, yeah, it was a great learning curve, like, it's not the one that you want. Like, you always want to like win every game and take 5 wickets and have the best conditions. But I mean, there's no learning from that at the end of the day if you don't have to have the like real bad stuff like that, And although at the time I probably wasn't enjoying it, I look back on it and I actually thoroughly love it. Like, I think it was one of the best things that could ever happen, Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it, It's like, it's a great story to tell. It's a great experience. And there was a lot of learning from it. So I loved it. But yeah, as a young fast bowler going to Sri Lanka, I just wanted to run and bowl as fast as I could. And maybe had the similar kind of mindset as to what some of the Sri Lankan bowlers have right now, without the experience, just that mindset of run and bowl fast. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Sanga and you seem to be having a very special relationship with Dale, very good mutual respect for each other. We see your exchanges, wishing each other for the birthdays and stuff. Talk us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've known Sanga for years. Like, I played against him, and then I was very lucky that one of the first times I actually really met him was that I played against him, but then he came to Warwickshire. And he played some county cricket at Warwickshire, and I was playing for Warwickshire. I played against him in county cricket before when I was playing for Essex, like way back in 2004 or something like that. But we were now finally in the same team. And then somehow we kind of followed each other, and we ended up playing in the same team together for quite some time. We played in the Deccan Chargers together. We played for Sunrisers together. And then we played in the CPL with Jamaica Talawas. Together, and all throughout that entire time I was also playing against Sri Lanka on tours to Sri Lanka, or Sri Lanka was coming to South Africa, or World Cups and so what and so forth, and I just loved him. Like, he was just, I still do, what's not to love about Sanga? He's the best man in the world. He's like the nicest guy in the world, and then he's just phenomenal, like with the bat, even if he was smacking hundreds against us, I didn't really care. I wanted to get him out, but he was so beautiful to watch that it was like, oh, that was amazing, like, that was great. So, yeah, I mean, we've just played against, and it's never been, we've always been good with each other. We had fierce competition between each other, but we've never been ugly to each other or anything like that, and I think that's because Sanga's just the nicest guy in the world, and I love him, so I wouldn't want to treat him any other way. If I was playing against him, I want to get him out, but like, he's become a friend. And that's the best. I think that's the best thing about cricket, is that you meet these people all around the world. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Is he a bit of a bad sledger, Dale?
Who, Sanga?
Yes.
He never really sledged me. I think he's very clever. He's very, very, very clever. And he's smart with his cricket brain. So he would pick up little things, and he would say things maybe to more irritate me than he would sledge me. And I'm like, if I think about it, that's very clever. Like, you got a point, I'll step back.
Then, going back to the 2006 game, when things like that, I mean, when you're faced with such tough situations, how you all as a team come out of that situations? What is going behind within the team?
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes you gotta take it for what it is, and just understand that everything that you were doing wasn't working, and 2 guys were on absolute fire. There was areas in the game that we were getting wrong. I think we dropped a bunch of catches, and we probably weren't consistent on our lines and lengths, and slightly inexperienced. The whole group. I think Ashwell Prince was our captain, And I'm not saying that he wasn't a good captain. I'm just saying that that captaincy was fresh on him, and it was a different kind of setup and team and everything like that. But the bounce back, we as South Africans, we always talk about that bounce back ability, And the next test match, we almost won the next test match. I think Sri Lanka won it by 1 wicket or something like that. They literally scraped over. So I think I got 5 in the second test match. So so we were able to learn from our mistakes and then bounce back. Yes, we lost. We lost by 1 wicket. It could have been 2 wickets, but I'm almost certain it was 1. But that was enough encouragement for us to say that we'd gone to a place that was really difficult to play cricket. Yes, we got our asses kicked in the first one, but we almost won the second one. We should have won the second one. And you take the learning from that. And then I think the next time we went to Sri Lanka, we won, which was a couple of years later. But that was it. We were just trying to learn and figure out how to play cricket in different conditions, like the subcontinent and Sri Lanka and everything like that. We just weren't playing enough. So it was great to learn, And when you're coming up against guys like Murali, I mean, jeepers, you're not expecting to win many games in Sri Lanka against Muttiah Murathan. So, yeah, it was a good time.
Well, now that you are a commentator, how do you handle this situation? I mean, your new career path as a commentator, how do you like it?
Yeah, have you watched Happy Gilmore before?
Not really.
Have you never watched Happy Gilmore before? Okay, if you ever have the opportunity, watch Happy Gilmore. It's one of the best sport movies ever. Comedy movie. It's about a guy who plays ice hockey, who's got a bad temper, who ends up playing golf. And he's really good at golf. He ends up winning golf tournaments and stuff like that. And even when he's winning golf tournaments, they always ask him, they always say to him, what about your golfing career? And he says, I'm a hockey player. I'm just playing golf so that I can make money so that I can play hockey again. And I feel much the same. I'm a cricketer that's currently just doing commentary. I'm not a commentator. No, but it's fun. I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's nice to see things from a different perspective. And I've always kind of felt like I've been pretty neutral with the way of viewing the game. So when I was commentating and talking of the Sri Lanka and South Africa game, I didn't really care who won the game. I wanted the best team to win. I mean, ideally, I would like it that South Africa goes on to win because I'm South African and I would love them to win a World Cup. But when I'm talking about the game, I don't see that I have to talk up one team more than I have to talk up the other team. I actually really enjoy all the cricket teams, every single cricket team that's here. I've got friends in, and I hope that they do all really well. So I kind of like it. I like being able to have a good objective opinion about what I'm seeing. And hopefully, the players and my friends and stuff that are playing, they will understand from where it's coming from. So that's quite nice. So yeah, it's fun.
Well, what are your best experiences in Sri Lanka? You've been playing to the national team, then you also came back and played Lanka Premier League last season. So what are your best memories, cricketing-wise and also on the other? So
my best cricketing memory, or my best memory of Sri Lanka, was my first tour to Sri Lanka. It was my first tour outside of South Africa. It was a South African A tour, and I think we went in 2004. And I just had the best time. We went to the mall in Colombo, and it was the first time that I bought DVDs. I think they were bootleg DVDs, but we bought them anyway. I was eating different foods for the first time. We went to the tea plantation. What's the tea? Yeah, Dilma tea plantation. We had a car accident. Our bus we crashed, and two police officers got badly injured. Actually, I hope that they're okay today. I don't know, but. Then we had to jump into the bus with the Sri Lankan. So we sat stranded on the side of the road for about 5 or 6 hours before the Sri Lankan bus arrived. We went to Kandy, and at the hotel there was elephants cruising around the hotel. I mean, I just absolutely loved it. From a cricket perspective, I can't remember what happened. It didn't matter. It was just one of the most amazing tours, and every time I went back to Sri Lanka, I just wanted to experience more of it. So going to like Galle for the first time was great. We went through their Galle, what's it called? The fort. Yeah, we just kind of cruised through there, went to the little beaches that are there. I mean, it's just, I love it. Like, the cricket aside, I've won games and lost games, but like Sri Lanka is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been. There's just so much to see and so much to do. Like I said, it's between Sri Lanka and the West Indies that are my two favorite places to tour.
Is there a bowler, Dale, currently in world cricket that reminds you of Dale Steyn?
Probably Anrich Nokia. I think if he can do one or two little things with his action, he could actually look like me. But I think I think what he does, I think his thought process is what I'm trying to say. Don't look at him as a bowler. I think his thought process is what my thought processes were, which is what I love to see. I don't look at his action and his style and what he looks like and say, oh, he looks like me. I like what's going on in his head, and then his execution is just very similar to the way that I do my things. We're about roughly the same height, bowl really quickly, and looking to skid the ball under the bat, through the bat. You know, when I say through the bat, I mean beat you for pace, so past the bat before the bat gets there, skid under the bat nice and low, good bouncer, and then one or two change-ups. Keeping it very simple, but bowling absolutely gun barrel straight. That's the most key thing. You'll see with Anrich Nokia, he won't bowl many wide balls outside on the off stump because his action allows him to run gun barrel straight. His head is always forcing him down the wicket. It's never dragging him to cover, which means that he's always attacking the stumps. If he bowls a wide, it's more going to be down the leg side because it's gone with the arm. To a right-hander I'm talking about. So, yeah, probably Anrich Nokia.
Dale, you've spoken about the Sri Lankan fast bowlers. You've played with most of the Sri Lankan greats, the batters, but what do you see of the young batting lineup of Sri Lanka, Charita Salanka, Pathum Nissanka, those kind of players? You must have seen only a little, but what have you seen of?
Very early stages. I was impressed with some of the batters that I saw last year in the Sri Lankan Premier League, the Lanka Premier League. I mean, the local talent was amazing. And to be entirely honest with you, I would love to go back. Like, it's a pity that I've retired because I would have loved to have played another Sri Lankan Premier League because I just thought that the players were so humble. None of them were big-headed in a sense that, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that other tournaments there are people that are big-headed. I just found that they were so humble. Everyone was just happy. They were all in the same kind of same mind space. But there was so much talent. I wasn't there for very long, but I loved it. And ideally, I wouldn't mind to go back to commentate or even go back to work with one or two of the teams because I love being on the field. I actually love being on the field. I feel very uncomfortable being in a collared shirt and trousers and shoes on a cricket field. It just doesn't feel right to me, especially not right now. I still want to be in my shorts and running shoes and running around and doing things. But yeah, Akuso Pereira, you know, after the knock that he played against South Africa in that test match in Durban, he caught my eye immediately. He was great. He was my captain at Candy Tuskers. Astalanka looks like he's come out and he just looks so good. You know, he just looks he looks unbelievable. But yeah, I think a lot of talent. I wouldn't mind spending some time in Sri Lanka to watch them because they're just guys are good. You just keep coming up with good cricket players. You know, they just got to consistently stay there, like your Sangas and your Mahalas and your Malingas for 2 or 3 years to be able to win you more regular tournaments and stuff like that.
Dale, there's been a lot of talk on Quinton de Kock taking the knee, not taking the knee. What's your thoughts on the whole issue?
Jeepers. I'm just happy. I think I'm happy that he's back playing. I think a Cricket South Africa team without Quinton de Kock is a weaker team. And yeah, I think that whole thing is different to what's happening to cricket, you know, and taking the knee and Black Lives Matter is not supposed to separate people, it's supposed to bring people together. So if we have to see Quinton de Kock missing cricket games, not just through his own mindset, but through a forced kind of way of doing things, that's not what we want in world cricket. That's not what we want. That's not what we want in the world. We don't want to see people missing out on things. That's not what this movement is about. This movement is about bringing people together and having a better understanding of things, not pushing people away and then ridiculing them. You know, that's not the way that this is not what it's about. So when Quinny is not playing for South Africa like he was, it was a real sad time, I think, and for him too. You know, to listen to his comments about what he said, what people thought of him, was entirely not fair. I don't think that was very fair. Yeah, so I'm happy to see that he's back on the park and that things are resolved.
Fine. Now that the tournament is in the business and as a neutral commentator, who do you see this tournament winning? Plenty of good teams playing.
There's some good teams, and you know the thing is, it's just about who can maintain momentum. You know, I've been in cricket teams before where sometimes your mind gets in the way of your skill, so you feel like if you keep playing good cricket, at a point you feel like a bad game is going to catch up to you. You know, like, which is a worry. When other teams are gradually going up, they feel like they're still going to get a good game. So like, let me put this to you this way. South Africa haven't played their best cricket yet. They haven't. But they're winning cricket games and they're slowly getting better. Their curve is going like this. England, Pakistan, they look the favorites. Their curve has gone like that. They're due a bad game. And unfortunately in this tournament, if your bad game comes in a semi-final, that's the end of your tournament. So sometimes the best team doesn't necessarily win a World Cup. Your teams that peak at the right time win World Cups. So, yeah, but I think England and Pakistan are looking phenomenal. You know, they're looking really, really good. But it wouldn't surprise me if an outsider team makes the final with one of those two teams. So like or something like that, you know.
You said that the best team doesn't win. Is it that what has happened to South Africa over the years at World Cups?
No, not necessarily. I think maybe 2015. That was the World Cup that I was part of, and 2011 where I felt like we stood a good chance. I think 2015 was a World Cup where we felt like we had the team to win it. But I think all the teams right now are on a level that they're all pretty much the same. I must be honest with you, it's very difficult to pick a winner. And if you had to take any one of these teams and put them in a time machine and take them back to 1992, which is the World Cup that I first watched in Australia, I think any one of these teams that is here right now could go on to have won that 1992 World Cup. That's how good the cricket teams are right now. It's very difficult to separate them. But yeah, sometimes the best teams don't go on to win tournaments, and it doesn't matter. You know, you just got to try again.
Dale, thank you for joining us. Really enjoyed chatting to you. Nice hairstyle, by the way.
Oh, thank you. This is my COVID hairstyle. My lockdown hair. I haven't cut it. I'm just letting it go.
Thank you so much. All the very best.
Thanks, Rex. Thanks, guys. Yeah, nice to catch up.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers, though.